90s R&B has a distinct vibe. You hear those shimmering keys, and you can practically see the silk shirts and inexplicably wet streets in every music video. In addition to the classic 90s production techniques, part of this sound comes from songs based on chord progressions that were popular during a specific range of that era. One of the most distinct chord sequences in this category is the 1, flat 6, flat 7 progression. We hear this in 90s hits like I Adore Mi Amor by Color Me Badd from 1991, All I Wanna Do by Sheryl Crow and It's For You by Shanice from 1993, Do You Know What It Takes from Robyn in 1996, and one of the biggest hits of the decade, 1994's Kiss From a Rose by Seal. We can make this sequence happen just by playing the root position triads with the accompanying bass notes. Some songs reverse the order and place the 1 chord first, but we'll be focusing on starting with the flat 6 chord. We're going to start by building a 1, flat 6, flat 7 chord sequence, just with the basic triads. So root position, we're going to start with C, because in this case we're in the key of C, C's R1, so we're going to go C, E, G for a C major triad, and we're going to double that in the bass. Then we're going to find flat 6 and flat 7. So 6 and 7 would normally be A and B. So in this case, if we lower each of those a half step to get the flat versions, that's going to be flat 6, A flat, and flat 7, B flat. So we're going to take that A flat, and we're going to build the major triad off of that. So A flat, C, E flat. We're going to do the same with the B flat triad. We're going to go B flat. The major triad there is going to be D and F. B flat major. And go back to C for our 1. So now we have something that just in root position is going to sound like. This sounds a bit clunky due to the parallel fifths and lack of any interesting voice leading. It's like a middle school slow dance, full of awkward transitions. If we were making jungle or other retro sampled music, this is a sound we might use intentionally, but it's not as well suited to smooth R&B and pop music. This is why you usually hear this sequence with contrary motion between the bass and upper notes of the chord, or the bass notes moving in one direction, while the other notes of the chord move in the opposite direction. One way is starting with the flat 6 in root position in the right hand, and moving downward to the closest inversion of the flat 7 chord. Then, doing the same from the flat 7 to the 1 chord. The contrary motion still gives us the character of this progression, 3 consecutive major chords moving upward by whole step, with a descending counter melody on top. This can be heard to lovely effect in the opening hook to Kiss From a Rose. We can think of this as an alternative to the dominant cadence, or 5-to-1 chord progression. It doesn't have scale degree 7, or the leading tone, resolving by a half step to the tonic in a way that's characteristic of the 5 chord. But it does have scale degree 4, the 7th in a 5-7 chord, resolving by a half step to 3, while the other voices move a whole step respectively to their destinations in a way that still pulls strongly to the tonic chord. Because it sits a whole step below the tonic, this use of the flat 7 chord is sometimes referred to as a backdoor dominant, or coming in through the back door. Now, let's talk about key. The flat 6 chord contains the flat 3 and 6 scale degrees, and the flat 7 chord contains the flat 7 scale degree. This constantly sounds novel to our ear because we keep hearing chords that signify conflicting key signatures, major and minor, never settling in one place. In particular, the flatted scale degree 3, as heard in the 5th in the flat major 6 chord, is resolved to the natural major 3 in the tonic chord, creating a progression that could be described as dark, to light, and back to dark again. My favorite version of this progression swaps in major 7th chords for all 3 major triads of the original, giving us flat major 7 to flat 7 major 7 to 1 major 7. Applying contrary motion and voice leading to our new chords, starting with the major 7th of the 6th chord on top, gives us this sequence. So now we're going to take our triads and turn them into major 7th chords, and then we're going to invert and use contrary motion with those 7th chords to create our new progression and voicing for the major 7 version of the flat 6, flat 7, 1 progression. So we're going to take A flat, and we're going to add on a major 7th, so in this case that's G. Then we're going to do the same with B flat, so that's going to be D, F, add on our major 7th, which is going to be A. Then finally we're going to take C, our 1, and add in a major 7th, which is going to be B. And we're not going to double the root in the right hand, so the right hand is just going to be the upper notes of the chord. So we put that together, that's going to be and now with the inversions that we talked about, we're actually going to take that and we're going to move the left hand down to the lower octave, and we're going to take our part here and we're going to keep the right hand the same, so that's going to be 3, 5, 7. And now we're going to move all these notes down to the closest neighbor for our B flat major 7, so that's going to be G moves to F here, the E flat moves to D here, and the C isn't going to go to B flat because we're leaving the B flat for the left hand, so that's going to go to the major 7th A here. So now we have, and then finally we're going to take C in the left hand, we're going to move to the closest neighbor again, so F goes to E, D goes to B because we're skipping the C, and his A goes to a G. So now we have just like that. Note that for each of these chord voicings, we omit the root from the right hand and move the right hand notes downwards to the nearest chord tone of the next chord. This takes the progression from, hey, I have feelings, to I have feelings and an expensive candle collection. And there you have it. Practice playing or using it in as many keys as possible. And that was the 90s R&B chord progression. Remember to please like, subscribe, and or comment if you enjoyed this lesson today, and until next time, take care of yourself, take care of someone else, and have a good day.